All right. Get this shit going on. All right. It's official. Chris Sale traded from the Boston Red Sox to the Atlanta Braves. Welcome to the Chris Sale tribute episode here on the Ryan O'Toole podcast. Chris Sale, if you're hearing this, you were a great fucking Red Sox. You were a great Red Sox. All right, I know the last couple years were rough. But, fuck, man, this is a tough one, dude. One of my favorite players, certainly in my adult lifetime, but where does Chris Sale rank amongst my favorite Red Sox ever? He's on the higher end, but not like, I don't know, put it this way, as far as like post-2013 Red Sox, legal drinking age Red Sox players, Chris Sale's up there. Chris Sale the other day was traded to the Atlanta Braves, seven-time All-Star Chris Sale traded for well-regarded infield prospect Vaughn Grissom. I think there's something else in there too, but that's pretty much the trade. Chris Sale for Grissom. He waived his no-trade clause. Braves are going to take up the money. That's a conversation for another time. Man, what a fucking player Chris Sale was. All right, before I get into the notes, Chris Sale's record, just want to talk about what I thought about him during his entire tenure in Boston, as well as what I thought about him before. Before Chris Sale came to the Red Sox, he was someone I always liked watching. I was a big fan of his. Obviously, my favorite Chris Sale moment pre-Red Sox was when he cut up the Chicago White Sox throwback jerseys. I believe the year before the Red Sox got him, so 2016, he was supposed to pitch in those ridiculous like softball uniforms the White Sox wore in, is that 84 to 87, I think, somewhere along there, 82 to 86. And I liked when he did that because it showed that, like, I mean, it was fun. All right, Chris Sale, it was fun. He was backing it up. He started the All-Star game that year. I remember the 2016 All-Star game. He started. And you're just like, oh, this guy cut his jersey up because he doesn't like what the team's making him wear. He's pretty pissed about it, but it wasn't like some scrub. This isn't like some fucking guy battling from AAA to the big leagues doing it. This was, one of the best pitchers in baseball at the time doing this. Got a suspension. I think he missed a start. And it was fun. And then the Red Sox, I'll never forget when the Red Sox traded for him. A cold December night, the Red Sox traded Yoan Moncada and Michael Kopech. Kopech? How did we say his name? He never played. Yoan Moncada, Michael Kopech, Luis Alexander Basbay, and Victor Diaz. Obviously, Kopech and Moncada were the two big ones. Moncada was somebody I always followed when he was in the farm system with the Red Sox. There was a video, and it's still burned into my head. Moncada was playing either single A or double A ball at the time. I think it was double A with Portland. And I'll never forget, it was a fan video. So it was someone sitting in the first row, third base side. Moncada's batting lefty. And Moncada hit a ball out of right field to this minor league stadium. I don't know what stadium it was. And I just remember watching and being like, holy shit, this guy's going to hit bombs all day. Moncada hasn't really worked out. Chris Sale ended up becoming a great Red Sox player over the next few years, being a key piece in the 2018 World Series championship. So I remember when we traded for Sale, I was all for the trade. I remember it kind of just came out of nowhere. I was like, holy fuck, the Sox got Sale. And you knew something big was going to get up. Moncada was one of the biggest prospects in baseball at the time. We got rid of him, and I was like, you know what? We needed to do it because 2016, we're just getting, the time, that was an interesting time for the Red Sox. With 2013, you pretty much dumped off in 2014. That World Series team, you had the emergence of Mookie Betts, who was becoming a superstar. You had Bogarts, who was getting much better as a player. You had a lot of guys there, but you didn't really have, like, a core, like, 2016, Porcello actually won the fucking Cy Young. Was Porcello a Cy Young in 2016? Yeah, he was a Cy Young Award winner in 2016. So the Red Sox had, like, a very good pitching staff, but I'm gonna read you the 2016 Red Sox pitching staff. 2016 Red Sox. Let's look at the 2016 team, the year before Sale got there. I got my PC. I don't even know if this is actually a PC. I think it's technically a fucking MacBook. I always thought PC just meant computer, but that's not what we're here for. Chris Sale would fucking cut this up. So 2016, if you guys remember, that was David Ortiz's last year there. Last year with the Red Sox. Let's go to the pitching rotation. David Price, which was his first season. Rick Porcello, Stephen Wright, Clay Buchholz, Drew Pomeranz, Eduardo Rodriguez. Koji Uehara was still on the team in 2016? No, that can't be right. Oh, he was. 2016 was his last year. Holy shit, Uehara was... But listen, so yeah, David Price was a legitimate ace coming at the time. A guy already won a Cy Young Award. You had him coming in there. Rick Porcello, who was fucking fantastic that year. Let's look at Rick Porcello's 2016 statistics, please. Won the Cy Young Award. 33 games. What was his win-loss record here? 22-4. Fucking fantastic. They needed another ace, though. In comes Chris fucking Sale. We're going to pull up his baseball reference right now. Chris Sale. Chris Sale comes traded to Boston. Big left-handed. I shouldn't say big. I mean skinny left-handed pitcher. I mean, he was kind of big, too. Crafty. I loved how he threw. He wasn't going to blow you away with a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. He was going to throw weird pitches that moved that were going to clip the corners of the zone. Not to put down his speed by anyways, but he just wasn't a power pitcher. The 6'6", 180-pound, which a lot of times I would dispute Chris Sale's size. Sometimes it looked like he was 150 pounds. All respect to you, Chris Sale. All due respect. All right? This is a Chris Sale tribute podcast, but Chris Sale gets to Boston in 2017, throws 214 innings with 308 strikeouts. By the way, you can watch all 308 of Chris Sale's 2017 strikeouts on YouTube. I watched them the other day. Someone put that video up. 17-8 record, 2.9 ERA, 2.90, mind you. One complete game. Just fucking fantastic. 308 strikeouts. Came in second in the Cy Young that year. Who won the Cy Young in 2017? Come on, get this fucking... Oh, Corey Kluber. That's right. Kluber won the Cy Young that year. That's right, which was pretty controversial at the time. Well, I guess he had a lower ERA, but Sale had him beaten. I guess, whatever. Kluber won the Cy Young that year. That's right. That was a controversial Cy Young. But then you get Chris Sale. He got embarrassed in the playoffs that year by Houston. I remember he didn't pitch well later on in that season. Didn't pitch well. Houston smacked them around. Houston was the better team than the Red Sox. They closed them out. They closed out the Red Sox at home that year, which was tough. It was tough losing to Houston in 2017. You know, I remember that. I remember watching that game. It was a day game, Game 4, and Sale came in out of relief, and he just didn't have it. You know, he just didn't have it that fucking game. You know, 2017, don't get me wrong, that Houston team was much better than the Red Sox. That was a team that actually went on to go on and win the World Series. And that was tough. But then came 2018. And that Red Sox team was just pissed off. And Chris Sale started off great. You know, he just had attitude. This is what I liked about Chris Sale. He had fucking attitude. All right? He gave a shit. All right? You can say whatever you want about Chris Sale. Oh, the fucking contract extension was terrible. You know, he's always hurt. You know what I mean? Whatever. You can never say that guy didn't give a shit. Chris Sale fucking cared. All right? That guy really fucking cared. He really gave a shit. And he was pissed he was getting hurt. Chris Sale fucking cared. He was just such a fucking fun player. Didn't make excuses when he got shelled. All right? Didn't happen often. All right? Didn't make excuses with his injury. Spoke openly about it, how he had injury problems. You know, he just fucking... He took accountability. You know, and he was a good player for Boston in the sense where he could deal with all the media bullshit. You know, he could fucking deal with it all. 2018, I don't know. What would I say my favorite moments of Chris Sale was? I'll tell you what my personal favorite moment of Chris Sale was. These are my prime years of going to Fenway and getting shit-faced at games, okay? This is, you know, I'm working less than a mile away from Fenway. There was so many games where, you know, I weeknight games, weekend games. I mean, I went to a lot of games from 2016, 17, and 18. The last, 3 years I lived back in Boston, I went to a lot of fucking games. A lot. And I remember it was Sale Day. That was, the big thing. You wanted to see Chris Sale pitch. You know, you didn't... don't get me wrong. I mean, they had Price. Porcello was always good. But it was about seeing Chris Sale play. Like, that's when you really, like, paid attention. That's the guy you really wanted to see. I mean, this guy started the fucking All-Star game. Like, he started with Chicago in 2016, and then 2017, 2018 with the Red Sox. He was the best pitcher in the American League for 3 years. And I'll say that. I know he got hurt in 2018. Sure. All right, but for years, this guy's a 7-time All-Star. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I'll talk about that after, actually. But he was just so fucking fun to watch. I think I only got to see him pitch once at Fenway. It was a weeknight game, cold, early in the season in 2018. I remember he pitched well. But I did catch Chris Sale at one of my favorite Red Sox games I ever went to. Game 4 of the 2018 American League Championship Series in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. At the time, I just moved to New York. I've been living in New York for, I don't know, probably not even 2 months. And I remember I was in acting school, and I only lived at the time a mile away from Yankee Stadium. I lived in Washington Heights, right across the river from the Bronx, right? So I remember that week when the Red Sox had the potential to close out the Yankees, I couldn't go to the games in Boston. And I remember I had tickets. I could have went. The one game I could have went to, I remember I had shit to do here. It was Game 2. It was the game the Sox ended up losing to the Yanks. So they come to the Bronx, and it was between games 3 and 4. And I was like, I can't go to both, but I can go to one. And if you remember, Game 3, I think the Red Sox won 17-1. That was the game Brock Holt hit for the cycle. They beat the shit out of the Yankees that game. They fucking destroyed them. I believe Severino pitched for the Yankees. It was an ass whooping. It was an absolute fucking ass whooping. And I watched that from my house because I go, if the Red Sox have a chance to close out the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, I got to go to the closeout game. That was my thinking at the time. So I watched Game 3 at home, which was great to watch. I'll tell you that. It was amazing. And I think another reason I didn't go to Game 3 is because I had something with school or something. But I do remember watching that game at my house, and it was just an ass whooping. So Game 4 comes around. All right, I called up my uncle. I go, I need tickets. My uncle scalps tickets. All right, he knew. I never got scalped tickets before in New York. All right, I've gotten scalped tickets probably hundreds of times in Boston. And I remember he hooked me up with these scalpers in the Bronx. And ticket scalpers in the Bronx, like, you can't sell tickets right outside the stadium, kind of like you can at Fenway. Like, I sold, I don't know, a couple blocks away. I met someone for tickets, and you're in a rough neighborhood, all right? The South Bronx is wild, okay? It is a dangerous place. Got the tickets or whatever. I remember I'm at the game solo, all right? I don't really know. Everyone I know in New York at the time is just fucking, they're actors and shit. It's all, like, no one, I haven't even been living here for 2 months, but I go, I'm going to this fucking game. So I remember sitting in a bar and finding people from, Boston and New England and just drinking pregame pretty much on the street. Pretty much just drinking beers on the street and then going in to the stadium. I had good seats. I was familiar with Yankee Stadium. I was on the top deck in between first base and right field. I had really good seats to that game, and it was a close one. That was the game Sandy Leone hit a fucking classic Yankee Stadium home run into like the first row of right field, kind of like pushed the Red Sox over the top, but the game got close. And you could feel the tension building in there. You could feel, and I'm not going to say, it was a Red Sox-Yankees playoff game. I'm not going to say it was, Fenway in 2003 or 2004 or even the old stadium in those years either. But it was like they knew the season was potentially ended. And I'll never fucking forget, I was fighting with this trashy-ass broad who's giving me all this shit. Fuck you. Where the fuck are your friends? No one's here because no one likes you. She's just drunk and mad, right? I went mental after was it Sandy Leone who hit that home run, I believe? Or was it Christian Vasquez? I gotta do this right. Hold on. 2018 Game 4 ALCS. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the ALDS. It was the American League Division Series. 2018 Game 4 ALDS in the Bronx. Sox win 4-3. Correction, the night before it was 16-1. So we had 2 touchdowns with extra points. Game 4 right here, baseball reference. It was Christian Vasquez who hit the home run. It was Christian Vasquez who hit a solo home run. Yeah, Christian Vasquez off of Zach Britton in the 4th inning hit a home run. Anyways, I went fucking crazy. And CC Sabathia started that night. That's right. It was CC Sabathia. It was CC Sabathia versus Rick Porcello. Okay? Anyways, so I'm you get to the point where you're counting the outs because you're like, oh shit, we can end this thing. We can eliminate them. So you get to the point, and I'll never forget, this girl's giving me all this shit. Trashy, like New Jersey broad. Classic fucking drunk New Jersey broad who just, wants to take whatever. I'm like, fine, you know what? I'm in the Bronx. I was putting it in a place, scoreboard, whatever. But it starts getting like hot up there, and kids are talking shit or whatever. And of course, I'm bringing the Patriots into it. But I go, you know what? Fuck this. I go, all that's going to happen to me up here is I'm going to get into a fight and I'm going to get thrown out. That's how Yankee Stadium works. Like Yankee Stadium, for anyone watching, they'll throw you out if you're an opposing fan, if you're just arguing because they just want to ignore the problem. It's well known. It's documented. It's just how it is. So I go, you know what? Fuck this. I go, I've had good success over the years at Yankee Stadium. I've gone there a few times before I lived here. I go, I'm going to sneak down to like better seats, right? Now, it was a close game. This game, it wasn't like people were leaving and the place was sold out. Like, you went in there and you're like, oh shit, we're at a playoff game between 2 teams and 2 fan bases that don't like each other. So I go, fuck this. Which I did. Now that I remember, I was there. The Sox in 2018 clinched the American League East, also at Yankee Stadium. And I went to that game as well. Those tickets were like $10. It was a weeknight. And I did the same thing. I had whatever seats, and then I go, I'm going to go above the Red Sox dugout, which is the third base side in Yankee Stadium. So I end up going down there, and I remember I told the girl, too. I remember I told, these kids were going to fight me. There's no doubt. Like, it was going to end up getting there. I go, I got to go drink champagne downstairs. I'll see you guys next year, right? That's what I said to them, right? Mind you, this game ended nerve-wracking way. But Chris Sale, right before I leave, Chris Sale comes out in the 8th inning to throw relief, I believe. What did Chris Sale do? Let's go to Red Sox pitching in this game. Yeah, Chris Sale with 1 inning pitched. 1 inning pitch, Chris Sale comes in, and it was fucking silent in that stadium when he came in. I remember watching him run in from the outfield, and I was just going mental, and I was like, this thing is fucking done. Now, I thought he was going to stay in for the final 2 innings. I go, this is all. I go, it's done. We got our fucking ace coming in here, and he did his job. He got him out of there. And that 9th inning, I went downstairs at Yankee Stadium. And it was a close one. It was a close fucking game. I remember that game ended with the Yankees leaving the bases loaded. It was a close play at first base, and Girardi challenged it. And I remember my view from third base. I had a clean look at first base. I was like 4 or 5 rows behind the Red Sox dugout. Like, I was that close. And I had a close view. Now, that play was like a bang-bang play, but I saw it, and I was like, he's out. That's the fucking series. And the Red Sox celebrated for, 10 seconds maybe, and then Girardi, of course, has to challenge it the whole – what are you going to do, carry the fucking challenge over? You going to carry the challenge over to next season? Of course not. And, of course, the Sox won the challenge, dude. Called him out. Game was over. And then it was just like a mass exodus of Yankees fans. It was just Yankees fans leaving and Red Sox fans just coming down above the Red Sox dugout. And it was awesome, dude. It was fucking great. They had the Liza Minnelli New York playing, the version they play when the Yankees lose. And I just remember like jumping and drinking beers with a bunch of random people. And it was one of my favorite moments. It's like, it was tough, like, moving to New York and, not having, like, my friends with me. And, of course, I'm texting and calling everyone, but not, like, I know if I was back home, I would have been watching that with a bunch of morons. You know what I mean? Drinking. And, but Chris Sale coming out, that was probably my favorite moment I ever saw him pitch, just because it was, like, it just killed the fucking momentum in that stadium. It's just like I remember jumping up and down like when I saw him coming out because I remember seeing him warm up and I was like, oh shit, they're gonna bring Sale, and you could see the big tall lefty, and he just came running out and just fucking did his job, and he was great against the Dodgers in the World Series that year too. I mean, the Red Sox don't win the 2018 World Series without Chris Sale. You know, that's why Chris Sale's got his own episode today. Okay, they don't win the World Series without him. I remember he started game 1. I think he only had 4 innings pitched. He was banged up. Let's face it. Chris Sale was hurt in the postseason in the whole second half of 2018. He was hurt. Okay, but that didn't stop him from going out and performing. I remember game 1 he pitched fine, I thought. You know, he gave up a couple runs. Luckily, the Red Sox, kind of just took control of that. They had control of that entire game. But he had a bunch of notable moments in that series, including the Game 4, the crazy-ass Game 4 where the Sox were losing in Los Angeles, and he fucking pulled everyone on the bench and was just, screaming at the offense to go out and fucking score runs. And they needed that. They needed someone to just be like, all right, listen, let's wake up. We're the better team here. Let's fucking take this thing. Let's not lose games in Los Angeles here. Let's not do that. All right, mind you, that's, the Eovaldi game. You had a wild series there that the Red Sox controlled the entire time. They're the best team. They did what they had to do, and he just took them and just said, we're going to fucking do this. And then what happened? The Red Sox ended up exploding. Steve Pearce is going all over the place. Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley, Pedroia. Everyone just starts fucking hitting the ball and delivering, and the Chris Sale thing was great. And then to top it all off, Game 5 the next night where you just want to put this fucking thing to bed. Chris Sale comes out of the bullpen. Wasn't even a save opportunity. Comes in the 9th inning to end the World Series. And who is it? The last batter for the Los Angeles Dodgers is the guy they acquired at the trade deadline. A guy Chris Sale never liked and no one on those Red Sox teams ever liked. One of the most annoying, unlikable players in baseball, Manny Machado, comes up with 2 outs in the 9th inning and Chris Sale on the mound. And it was like karma and justice just fucking coming all the way around. We can win the World Series right here. And Manny Machado, a guy who was a dirty player, a guy who totally just fucking derailed Dustin Pedroia's career, a guy who was such a villain to Red Sox fans, such a fucking villain, a douchebag. Let's be honest. Manny Machado, as a player, extremely easy to dislike, especially when he's in your division. You're playing him 19 times a year, and you have all this bullshit with him. He was so easy to dislike, and he comes up with 2 outs in the 9th, and what's Chris Sale do? He throws him a ball he can't even fucking hit in the dirt, and Machado swings at it, takes a piss poor fucking swing at it, gets fucking, strikes out, gets tagged, a World Series over. So it was a perfect fucking ending to the World Series with Manny Machado striking out. And listen, you don't win 2018 without Chris Sale. So Chris Sale, I'm not drinking right now, but when I do have a drink, I'm certainly going to drink one for you. And I'm doing nothing but rooting for Chris Sale in Atlanta. I'm glad he gets to get away from the Red Sox. Let's be honest, not a good time to be on this Boston Red Sox roster. Good luck to him. I think Atlanta, as far as the trade, we'll break down the trade on a separate podcast. It's worth it for Atlanta. Atlanta's a team they're one of the favorites to win the World Series. They get any production out of Chris Sale, that's massive. And I'm rooting for it. I hope Chris Sale stays healthy and wins fucking 15 or 16 games next year. I really do. Obviously, Chris Sale gets the big contract extension, $145 million. He's still under contract. And he didn't live up to it. There's no doubt about that. He hasn't lived up to that contract with the Red Sox. He didn't. All right. If he goes out and he's a major contributor to the Braves next season and they win a World Series, then yeah, the Braves will say it's worth the money. But for the Red Sox, it was not worth it. Dombrowski, that was one big thing that was held against him. But you know what? Getting Chris Sale and acquiring Chris Sale, it was worth it. Again, it's not like Chris Sale was getting hurt because he was out of shape and didn't give a fuck and was unprepared. Like, Chris Sale is just, his body became a little fragile, and, let's face it, he had some bad luck. The game lasted 2 years ago in the Bronx. He gets a line drive right back and breaks his fucking hand. He gets a line drive. Like, this shit happens. He caught a little bit of bad luck, but overall, Chris Sale, man, they don't win in 2018 without him. Does he get into the Baseball Hall of Fame? I don't know. I mean, I think he's still, me personally, I think he has to add more to his resume. I think it's more on the unlikely side. He certainly had Hall of Fame talent. There's no doubt about that. Is he a Red Sox Hall of Fame? I don't know. Who knows how they even... he should be, honestly. Chris Sale should be in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. Chris Sale should be in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame for the sole fact that they don't win in 2018 without him. He got them over the hump. They needed to beat Houston. He did that. Man, I have a Chris Sale Red Sox player t-shirt somewhere, and yeah, I have that. I don't know where it is. I cut the fucking sleeves off of it too. Number 41. Chris Sale, I'm going to bid you adieu. Good luck. This is the Chris Sale tribute podcast here on the Ryan O'Toole podcast. I'm out of here. Man, yeah. Best of luck to Chris Sale in Atlanta. I hope you stay healthy. I hope you contribute. And if you're pitching well, I mean, I'll be pulling for you to win a World Series, Chris Sale. I could certainly say that. Good luck to Chris Sale. Florida Gulf Coast, all right? Florida fucking Gulf Coast. Chris Sale, he was Florida Gulf Coast, right? Let me double check that. I don't want to fuck his alumni thing up. Yeah, he was Florida Gulf Coast because I used to interact with a broad who was in college with him at the same time. Man, Chris fucking Sale, dude. Also, the fastest pitcher to 2,000 strikeouts, 1,626 innings. And in Major League Baseball record, 11.1 career strikeouts per 9 innings. Yeah, Florida Gulf Coast Eagles baseball team. Sale posted an 11-0 win-loss record and a 2.01 ERA over 17 games. Yeah, Chris Sale, collegiate baseball player of the year. Yeah, just a fucking animal. So, hey, sorry, there's something in my eye there. Chris Sale, cheers, adios. This is the Ryan O'Toole podcast. Thank you, Chris Sale.